CD Projekt has revealed that The Witcher is going to receive a remake. Earlier in October, they announced several different project code names that they were working on and gave us limited information about each. For example, you had Cyberpunk Orion, which is the code name for the next Cyberpunk game, and then there's The Witcher Polaris, which is the code name for the next installment in the Witcher series, which had previously been announced to be in pre-production. They also announced a project known as The Witcher Sirius, which is some multiplayer experience in the Witcher universe, and then there's The Witcher Canis Majoris, a game separate to the new Witcher saga beginning with Polaris. They also announced another project known as Hadar, a brand new IP, completely distinct, created from scratch within CD Projekt Red. At the time, I didn't think much of these announcements because it's just a word on a screen, you know? And getting shit announced stupidly early for investor backing appears to be the new norm within the games industry. And whilst not much has changed, my expectations have been subverted slightly, as I didn't think we'd hear about anything at all for quite a while. As it turns out, yesterday, a post was put up on the Witcher.com confirming that there is a Witcher remake in development. This was announced on the 15-year anniversary of The Witcher 1's initial release on the 26th of October 2007. And here's what the article had to say. "We are thrilled to announce The Witcher remake is being worked on. That's right, the game that started it all is being rebuilt from the ground up in Unreal Engine 5. The game is currently in the early stages of development at the Polish studio Fool's Theory, where veteran Witcher series staff are involved. We, as CD Projekt Red, are providing full creative supervision. The Witcher remake is what you might know by the codename Canis Majoris. It's still early and we want to ensure that the game is created with the utmost care and attention to detail. Therefore, while we're excited to share the news with you, we want to ask you for patience, as it will be a while until we start talking about this project in detail. The Witcher is where it all started for us. For CD Projekt Red, it was the first game we made ever, and it was a big moment for us then. Going back to this place and remaking the game for the next generation of gamers to experience, it feels just as big, if not bigger," said Adam Badowski, head of studio CD Projekt Red. "Collaborating with Fool's Theory on the project is just as exciting, as some of the people there have been previously involved in the Witcher games. They know the source material well. They know how much gamers have been looking forward to seeing the remake happen, and they know how to make the incredible and ambitious games. And although it will take some time before we're ready to share more about and from that game, I know it will be worth the wait." So the Witcher project codename Canis Majoris is actually the Witcher remake. The fact that this is an announcement to appease investors rather than consumers aside, inject that shit straight into my veins. I know that the concept of remasters and remakes are a touch controversial at the moment. Everything under the sun is getting or has received a remaster or a remake, sometimes unnecessarily so. For example, The Last of Us Part 1 recently released, which is basically The Last of Us rebuilt to look like The Last of Us Part 2 and to flow a little bit better, and it's whatever, you know. And then there are rumours Horizon Zero Dawn is getting a remaster or a remake of some description to bring it more in line with the aesthetic of Horizon Forbidden West. True or not, to me that seems a bit on the silly side. Let's face it, not every game under the sun needs to be remastered or remade. In fact, lots of games don't. There are plenty of games that hold up perfectly fine. The original Witcher was certainly not one of them. The game we're talking about looks and feels every bit as old as it is and then some. Considering this is the start of the Witcher trilogy many know and love, it makes sense for it to then receive a remake from the ground up in the Unreal Engine 5 at an outsourced studio with plenty of Witcher veterans who know what they're making. Whilst yes, trusting companies to get it right is a bit like Russian roulette these days and nobody seems to be safe, I feel here there's plenty of reason to be optimistic until proven otherwise, and I'm sure there's plenty of a chance for that to happen too. So the positives the Witcher remake have gained so far is the Unreal Engine is tried and trusted, the use of Unreal Engine 5 certainly won't harm it. It's being developed by a separate studio that supposedly knows the brand. On paper that can't be a bad thing, And even if this project gets fucked up completely, what we'll be left with will at the very least still be a more playable and modern version of The Witcher 1, for better or worse. The Witcher 3 is a massively well-known game, though you don't hear as much about The Witcher 2 or the original Witcher, and that's because you don't really need to play those two games to get a good experience with The Witcher 3. The stories are separate enough. As an individual experience, you can still make some sense of The Witcher 3, but despite that, you can tell that it's the third entry into a story, and for the most context, you really do need to play the two predecessors, and at the very least, The Witcher 2. So I suppose my question off the back of that is wondering how far this remake is going to go. Is it just going to be a revamp of visuals and gameplay, but keeping the core elements of the original Witcher the same? I don't think that would be sound strategy necessarily, because the entire premise of a remake is asking yourself, what if we made this game now with the technology that we have available here? And the original concept may not have that in mind because it's 15 years old at least, if not closer to 2 decades. So I suppose what I'm wondering is, are they going to take what The Witcher 1 was and transform it into an experience that closer resembles The Witcher 3 especially? That open world RPG experience that really suits being a Witcher in this world. As in the Witcher trilogy, The Witcher 3 is the only game that will allow you to revisit areas from previous points in the story. So whilst The Witcher 1 and 2 had map areas for specific parts, as the narrative progressed, once you moved on to the next place, you really couldn't go back. But The Witcher 3 allowing for this really allows you to get immersed in the open world experience that is presented, as you can diversify it any way that you want and do what you want in the order that you want to outside of the story stuff. So I suppose that's a long-winded way of me saying it will be interesting to see how they intend to rejuvenate the original Witcher game with this remake. Whether or not this remake will go all out and what it might have to compromise on are big questions, and that certainly is something to be raised, especially considering there is no product there at the moment. This was announced as the early stages of development, which means we're not going to see this for a very long time, and this announcement, above all else, was to appeal to potential investors. So for the time being, let's be honest with ourselves, this only really exists on paper, and whilst it's an exciting concept, I'd certainly like to see a remake of The Witcher 1. I feel like it's a game that could actually benefit from receiving a remake, unlike many that do these days. So I suppose my summary is, I think it's cool that The Witcher 1 will be receiving a remake, and that's where I'm going to leave it at for the time being, until somebody fucks it up at least. Thank you all for watching this short video. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, share the channel with your friends and all that wonderful stuff. That would be awesome. And with any luck, I'll be seeing you all very soon with another video at some point. But until next time, take care and goodbye.